Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews each and every week. And halfway through, we stop for a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars. And we're up to a magical number 60. Andrea, how do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time, I put a post out on Instagram with us holding coffees. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Any news regarding the upcoming Hyundai Palisade, hoping it gets a hybrid? No news. We did ask Kia about the Telluride, and do you think a hybrid or plug-in hybrid would come? And you know what? Guess what they told me?
Nothing. I would think with the introduction, but the thing is, all of these things are planned so far behind. So when a new car comes out or you see a facelifted Palisade or Telluride, this is all planned like 3-4 years ago.
Yes.
I would say Grand Highlander is now available with 3 powertrains. Those are out of step with only one 3.8 liter V6.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think about hybrid because they don't have a hybrid system yet available for that size vehicle, but maybe plug. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's the same with the Honda Pilot. Honda says they are going to come out with a hybrid, but nobody knows when. So I think they're moving towards that. We see it with Subaru and the Forester, that they're going to come out with a hybrid in 2025. Maybe the Ascent will get one as well. I think we're moving in that direction.
That's why for 2023, our number one car of the year was the Grand Highlander, because it does offer turbo gas hybrid and a more powerful hybrid max.
Impressive. After watching many reviews, including yours, and test driving a CR-V, Santa Fe, and a Rogue Platinum, we bought the Rogue. Very satisfied with the performance, fit and finish, and tech. It will tell you which tire is low, not just you have a low tire somewhere. Wondering why it hasn't been included in any of the top 10s.
Well, it's a good product. I mean, I think the design is very good. The interior can be really nice on those top trims. It drives really well. The drivability of the new 1.5 liter 3-cylinder turbo is excellent. What we have is a question mark about reliability.
So some people have the 2023 Rogue and they absolutely love it. They're really impressed with the powertrain. It's peppy. It's kind of fun to drive for an SUV. We really liked it as well. However, there are also issues with that powertrain. One woman has reported that the engine malfunctioned on a major highway. The vehicle slowed down and then came to a complete stop. She then took it into the dealership and got a loaner, also a 2023 model.
Did it happen again?
Top trim, and it happened again to her. So there are reports of issues, which is why it didn't make our list. Could we have given it an honorable mention? Sure, we could have.
Yeah.
But we just didn't. We just feel like there's too many unknowns with the vehicle. We think it's a great product, though.
I'm always pushing back on first year of things, except like Toyotas, for example. We recommend those. But like, for example, another one was the Mazda CX-90.
Yeah.
And I pushed back on Andrea and I said, I don't want it in the top 5 because I was like, I want to wait and see what happens with this. And we have had reports of sort of buggy driving issues with it. That's the reason. And the same thing, there's reports of problems with the Rogue. Hey, I like the product, and if yours is running great, enjoy it. I think they did a nice job of designing it.
I think the CX-90 is a terrific vehicle, but yes, 2 new powertrain options. I'm happy that they came out with a gas model as well as a plug-in hybrid, but the transmission is a little bit lazy. So, you know, I just feel like it would be great if they could just tweak that. Just watched your video on the Highlander versus Grand Highlander. Do you think Toyota will keep both models around for a while? Or will the Highlander eventually be discontinued? Really love the look of both and appreciated the comparison video.
Well, there's a lot of speculation around that, and you could almost see that happening. Or they'll redo the Highlander yet again, and it might slot in slightly differently. Maybe they might even make it a little smaller. Who knows what they're going to do with it?
I don't think about smaller.
I think one of the things about Toyota is they never really seem to take cars away. They just seem to keep adding more. So if it's selling, I think they keep it.
Although they did take the Venza away, but
they replaced it with something else.
I actually asked Toyota at the drive event for the Grand Highlander about the Highlander, what's going to happen with it. And they said, oh no, it's staying because of the price difference. and that the Grand Highlander is so much bigger. Some people don't want to drive such a large vehicle. And we saw that in the comments after our comparison went out. Some people said, I just prefer the smaller size of the Highlander because I only use the third row once in a while. So Toyota said no. However, I also asked them about the Venza, and the day that the Venza was discontinued, we happened to be with Toyota at the Camry and the Crown Signia unveiling. And I said to them, what's up with the Venza? You told me that the Venza wasn't going to be discontinued. And they said, well, it didn't really sell well in the US. And so that's it. Done. Love your videos and take on the industry. Question, do you think the 2025 Genesis GV70 will see the same infotainment refresh that the 2025 GV80 received? Well, nothing from Genesis on that. What we do know is the 2024 model won't get it, but possibly for 2025.
Yeah, possibly. They just did a minor facelift or some tweak on it, the Genesis. But I wouldn't hold my breath until they redo the car totally. And that seems to be the trend with Genesis and Hyundai, is they seem to do, like when there's a major update, that's when they'll change things like that.
I wonder what you and Zach's thoughts are on electric vehicles regarding the use of power. In winter months, the drag on the power grid in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and the northern parts of Ontario, BC, and Quebec is extremely high. How would it be beneficial to have electric cars? To charge them is more strain on the power grid, and their range drops significantly in colder temperatures.
Well, this is all about what happened with the big cold snap, and it really did affect electric vehicles badly. We had a story, 2 Questions Coffee Cars, about Outlanders just bricked. You couldn't drive them if it got too cold. So if you're not aware, in the province of Alberta, which is next to us here in British Columbia, when the temperatures went down to -40, which is the same in Fahrenheit and Celsius, I don't need to translate.
No.
That's -40 Fahrenheit or -40 Celsius. The government put out a notification to everybody's phone: reduce electricity consumption immediately.
Yep.
They had it to make up 200 megawatts of power. It was straining the grid, and people did right away. They turned off all the things they didn't need in the house, like lights and TVs that they weren't using, and the energy popped back up again. But this basically shows the weakness of the grid. We don't have, in Alberta, there's very, very small adoption of electric cars.
Yep.
So could you imagine replacing all of those? The grid would have to be massively updated for cold weather.
Yeah, and this is a bit of a wake-up call for all. We didn't have any issues in British Columbia. We were fine. Our temperatures really dipped. We got down to -12 degrees Celsius, which is very
cold for
us. But we had no problems with our grid. But yes, Alberta really struggled. I think that the issue is, if you watch the news and you see the Premier of Alberta talk, she's basically saying this is a real concern, that the government wants to eliminate gas models by 2035. Not gas models, new gas models. She's basically saying that there's going to be an inventory shortage of gas models, and if you need a gas pickup truck, you better buy it by 2026.
But the idea that within 2 years' time, 20% of all cars that have to be sold in Canada are going to be zero emissions, it's bananas. It's not achievable. And I can tell you, people, if they want a car, they need to buy it now, because we're entering into a period of rationing. There's no other way around it. I spoke to the manufacturers, and they told me the way it will work is that the only way to meet those targets is to reduce the amount of gas-fueled vehicles that they sell. So if you only buy 2,000 vehicles in the Alberta market, they're only going to be able to sell 8,000 gas-fired vehicles in our market. We buy 200,000 vehicles a year. And so we have to expect that what they're going to do is essentially phase out the traditional auto sector.
This is a wake-up call for the grid. We talked about that already.
Yeah.
But it's also a wake-up call for a lot of people who live in these areas. We're talking, Minnesota, Montana, northern prairie states, and the prairie provinces, or plains, I guess you call it in the States, and the prairie provinces in Canada. There are a lot of people, Andrea, that are just not going to want an EV based on the fact that the temperatures can get that cold.
Yeah.
And they have much longer distances on the prairies to drive. So to get 100% EV by 2035, there's going to be major resistance in what they call the heartland of the northern part of the United States and the prairie provinces. It's not because they're opposed to saving the environment. They're opposed to giving up comfort and freedom.
Yeah. And
freedom to get around.
And I won't name dealerships, but there are some people who have reached out to me that said that even at the dealership level, they're saying there's just no way we can get there by 2035. I mean, I think we're moving towards that, but I think there's got to be a balance. There's got to be a balance for people, and electric vehicles need to come down in price so that they are affordable for everyone. I do hope that we will get there at some point.
The infrastructure is a major part of it. I just read a survey that came out this morning. I was on X, Twitter, and it showed that it's 67%, almost 70% of Americans want a gasoline car next.
I know.
The next largest spike was hybrids, and then it was plug-in hybrids, and EVs were 6%. So you have in the United States sales of 15 to 18 million cars annually. If you have only 6% of people really interested in buying an EV, that's not going to flip the industry over to pure EV.
No, and there's too many questions that people have that we're not getting answered about electric vehicles. Love your show. Thank you. Regarding the much anticipated Calgary new car show in March, do you know if all or most manufacturers will be there? Well, definitely not most manufacturers will be there. But this is what I've heard about the Calgary Auto Show. There will be a minimum of 25 brands there. And the dealership network is very strong. So I'm thinking that the dealerships are the ones that maybe are going to be bringing some of these vehicles instead of going with like a manufacturer head office. Like Stellantis is out.
Yeah, okay. So I got this email just yesterday from someone for the Vancouver show. So you can copy and paste some of this for Calgary. So auto shows around North America are really dying on the vine. Manufacturers are withdrawing support. So the only brands that have committed to the Vancouver show, General Motors, Ford is back. They were out last time, so they're back. Hyundai, Tesla, Rivian, Polestar, and one other Asian brand he couldn't. Oh, and you'll have also Subaru, Mitsubishi, the smaller players from there. So what you're seeing is dealer supported. So there'll be a big Ram display at the Calgary show, but that'll be the dealers putting it together, not Stellantis.
And they're also going to have an EV display where you can take the EVs for a drive. So I think that that's going to be a real focal point at the Calgary Auto Show. As well, they're really wanting more women to come out. So they're saying like $10 admission for women, and at a certain point that I guess how many women have come through the door, you get a gift bag, and so they're really trying to get more women out there.
If you're a woman, you get charged $10 and a gift bag. Is that not discriminatory, Andrea?
Well, I think that most women are not interested in cars, and maybe they might tag along with their husband, or they might go as doing it, as a family event.
How would this go if it was $10 for men and they got a gift bag and the women were charged more? Would that be fair?
I couldn't care less. Couldn't care less because, okay, here's a perfect example. I'm going to a makeup show. Well, maybe not makeup because, well, sure, makeup.
Fashion.
Okay, a fashion show. And Zach is like, I'm not going to the fashion show. Nope. I don't like this. I'm not interested in it. But if they had maybe, trying to motivate Zach to come.
Like free beer and popcorn?
Yes. Then Zach might go, I might go for the free beer and popcorn.
But what I'm saying is the free beer and popcorn's for everyone.
Maybe it would just be for you, Zach. Free beer and popcorn just for Zach to get him to the fashion show.
Actually, pretzels would be better. Yeah.
He would probably come along anyway with me to the fashion show. I don't know, Zach. This is what they want to do. They want to do $10 admission for women. Okay?
Right below.
I've never owned a vehicle with automatic high beams. What are your thoughts on this feature? It seems to me so many new car headlights seem to be so bright to oncoming cars on 2-lane highways that I wonder how this feature works or at what distance the lights automatically dim.
Well, there's different layers of automatic high beams, and
Yeah.
some of them are quite crude. And there's a sensor, obviously, usually behind the mirror here that can detect extra light, and it'll dim them.
Yeah.
Think of like a Corolla, for example. That's standard equipment in a Corolla.
Yeah.
Just as an example. When you get to higher end vehicles, they have it's just high beam, low beam. Now the new technology is they actually have either shutters that will just throw a shadow on the oncoming car,
Yeah.
or they're made of pixels, and thousands of pixels, and those pixels will go dark. It's crazy technology.
It's amazing because they still keep the road lit up for you, the driver, but as a vehicle is approaching, it dims down so it doesn't affect the driver. I think it's really amazing technology.
So some of it is quite primitive. It should work. And I think, to your point, I think a lot of people are driving around with automatic high beams on
Yeah.
all the time, and they really don't need to. It's really only when you're heading out into the countryside where there are no street lights.
Yeah.
So just put your car in low beams, and then if you go out in the country, then put on the automatic high beams.
I rarely put my high beams on at all. I mean, the roads are just so lit here that you don't need it. But like you said, a cottage trail, sure. Love your show. Thank you. Since you've owned German vehicles, how reliable is the Audi brand? I'm thinking of buying a Q3. Are they reliable?
I should say, had a good experience with our Audi. We had it for 4 years. It went into the dealer once, and that was for the third taillight, the one that goes across the back. One pixel was out.
Yeah.
Oh no, when we first got it, the backup camera,
Something was wrong with it.
something was wrong with the backup
Side
camera.
view mirrors had problems.
That was only in the cold. They kind of got a little stuck, but
Yeah.
that was fine. And we never ever got that repaired. It was only when it was super cold. But the backup camera in the first few months stopped, and they replaced it. And those were the only 3 things.
It was actually fairly reliable for us, not a problem. Consumer Reports gives the Audi Q3 an overall score of 77 out of 100, but a reliability score of 46 out of 100. JD Power gives it an overall score of 78 out of 100 and a reliability score of 76 out of 100. So definitely a better reliability score from JD Power than Consumer Reports. So I think that you can have problems, but there's no guarantees. I've talked to people where they've had issues with their Q3 and others, no problems at all.
The good thing is it comes with a 4-year warranty.
Yeah.
You're buying it because it's a premium car, you get a 4-year warranty, and then you can also extend the warranty. Listen, are you going to keep the car more than 6 years? At the end of the 5th or 6th year, is the car being good? Just
Yeah.
keep driving it and get it checked by your dealer or your mechanic. But until then, you're covered. So that's the way you can have a car like that and enjoy it.
Yeah, or you can lease it. Do a 3-year, 4-year lease. Good little test run. If there's any issues, give it back. I know some people feel that leasing, you've got monthly payments all the time. But if you're planning on keeping it long term, you can easily buy it out and then you can enjoy it moving forward. Maybe get an extended warranty on the vehicle when it is out of warranty. I think that's a really good idea for an Audi. And that's it for us. Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea to get your question in every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time. I put a post out. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted and we start the show.
We'll see you then.
Thanks for watching.